You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. The cop who killed Rayshard Brooks has his job back. Garrett Rolfe's termination has been reversed by the Atlanta Civil Service Board due to the city failing to afford his right to due process. He also sued Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Police Chief Rodney Bryant, claiming he used deadly force within the scope and course of his duties. You might remember, Rolfe shot Brooks as he was running away in a Wendy's parking lot on June 12th. If we have the video, please show that. This is, folks, and remember, running away. They were trying to detain him, but he ran away. Why fire? Roll it, please. He is facing 11 charges, including felony murder. The Brooks family attorney, they also addressed the media today following news of the officer's reinstatement.
You know, this entire thing with the firing is not about the case, whether it's justified or not. It's about the city. You know, that's what we're trying to make clear. This is not about whether he's guilty or not guilty. This was a procedural error where Officer Rolfe didn't get his rights that apparently the procedures and policies have in place. So that's what we're not commenting about whether it was right or wrong. I mean, they clearly, from what the board said, did not follow the proper procedures for him. And that's just an error that cannot happen.
Let's go to our panel. A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association Political Action Committee. Monique Presley, legal analyst and crisis manager. And we'll be joined a little bit later by Robert Patillo, executive director, Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project. All right, Monique, I'll start with you. You have represented, you've been on both sides of this. Your thoughts on the reinstatement?
Well, I agree with my former law student, L. Chris Stewart, ESQ. This is not about guilt or innocence. This is not about right or wrong. This is a procedural matter, and it's unfortunate, but I know we're covering it later in the show, but it's analogous to me to the way that the defense counsel filed a motion for new trial in the Chauvin case. Certain things happen all of the time procedurally, and it doesn't mean that this is the end of the road or that there won't be a better outcome. So I'm not too bothered by where we are right now.
And the thing, Scott, he's saying that he followed procedure. Again, we're showing the video right here, folks. If this triggers you, please turn away. And they were trying to detain him. He was tussling with the officers. They were trying to put handcuffs on him. And in a moment, what you're going to see is Rayshard Brooks again try to run away. The officer fires. I mean, what the public keeps saying, is why are you using lethal force? Why are you using lethal force? That's what people keep saying when somebody's running away from you. Didn't have a weapon. Didn't have a knife or a gun. And so the argument that was made by the Atlanta mayor and the police chief was, sorry, you got to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But Roland, you know, I keep using this same case analysis, if you will. Why do the police go from zero to deadly force? There's no in between with them. They're trained to do.
Now, in this case here, again, if y'all could just go back, not the beginning, go back to you'll see there where Rolfe pulls his taser out, he fires the taser, okay? And then he pulls the gun out. But again, what folks keep saying is, okay, he's running away from you. If he's running at you, if he's trying to charge into you, how is your life threatened? How is the life of citizens threatened if somebody's running away from the police? You got his ID, you got his car, ain't like you can't find him. Deadly force is deadly force.
Or you could chase him.
Or how about you don't chase him and say, hey, we're going to bust your ass when you get tired. Don't worry about it. We're going to find you.
Basically. But remember this too, Roland. Tennessee v. Garner, you've heard me talk about this case. 1986, I did a published case note on it got published in Illinois as well as Howard Law Journal, where it said, the Supreme Court said in 1986, it is unlawful, illegal to use deadly force on a nonviolent fleeing felon. It was based on a case in Memphis. That law holds today. That case has never been overturned. Every municipality and police department ought to be training their officers on that because it's clear. It's clear in that case, a young kid was trying to climb a wall and the police shot him. He was unarmed. He was a nonviolent fleeing felon, and they reversed, sent it back down, and the municipality of Memphis paid millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for that liability. Every case we're seeing today in the last 2 or 3 years is Tennessee v. Garner. It's fundamentally wrong, and yet these police departments and these police officers keep shooting nonviolent fleeing felons, period. It's dumb. It's just dumb acts on the part of the police.
And that really, Monique, is what we keep hearing from folks here. And what you also are seeing, this happens in other cities as well, we've been covering this, where they are looking to change the police chief, actually the mayor of Columbus, Ohio. He talked about the difficulty of firing officers who commit wrongdoing because they get hired right back or gets overturned by arbitrators.
Can I ask a question? Roland?
Yeah, I haven't left. I'm right here.
I asked permission to ask a question. I don't want to overstep.
What?
In the video, when he turns around, he's running and then turns around. Was that an active stun gun?
I don't know. Play the video. Here we go. Guys, play the video. We'll walk through it. Hey! Here we go. All right. So this is the video being played here. In a moment, you're about to see, this is where one of the officers has his stun gun out. I thought so. They're trying to put the handcuffs on him. Then, let's see here. One officer's trying to jump on his back. Then all of a sudden, they're both they're tussling with him. You're going to see in a second, he grabbed the stun gun from one officer. Then one they're chasing away, and then.
Did you see what you saw? What I just saw?
Right. So what you saw there was, I believe that Rayshard had a stun gun in his right hand, and then he pointed it back, aimed it at the officer. Then the officer then dropped his stun gun and then pulled out his firearm and then fired shots into him.
Right. So have they determined if that one was active? Because
no, we don't know that.
Okay.
But the issue,
so,
but
I call balls and strikes, and obviously that's my former law student, colleague, and friend Chris Stewart's case, and I still do not think that deadly force was necessary, and I think that officers go to that more than they should, as Scott said. But of course, this is not the Tennessee v. Garner case. This is not where it's their first thing. We saw an escalation. They tussled first. They tried to restrain him. They tried to use handcuffs. They tried to use physical strength. They went to stun gun after that. He stole the stun gun, ran with the stun gun, and instead of just running away with the stun gun, he turned and aimed the stun gun at the officer. That's a problem. If it was active or not, if it was like the Pamela Turner case in Baytown, which we all are getting ready to march for, where there was no way that the stun gun could have been used again, that's one thing. But I am just saying that what we see plainly on this video is not our best case scenario of what we would like to see when we're trying to.
Right. Now, the former DA, Paul Howard, Scott, who was the DA then at Fulton County, he said that Brook.
Scott is steady talking. What is happening?
I'm steady getting ignored.
No. First of all, we lost your signal.
Oh, no, I'm back.
Yeah, now you're back.
And I've been back.
Now you're back, which is why I'm tossing to you. So what happens in television is when we lose your signal, we wait for you to come back. And then when you come back, we want to make sure that you're there. And so what I then do as a way of acknowledging you, I set up the statement by saying, Scott, Paul Howard said this, and then I'm going to go to you.
Here.
So if the two of if the two of y'all could just sit there and be the guest and allow me to host. But y'all always want to act up on Wednesday. Don't nobody else do this.
No, I am.
Because
not tonight. Nope.
Not tonight. But that's still that incident in Atlanta.
Again, let me finish the statement and then you can talk. Allow me to finish the statement, then you can talk. Then DA Paul Howard said, quote, there was no immediate threat to the officers.
Exactly. And the police in Tennessee v. Garner struggled with that suspect and were chasing that suspect. It doesn't matter whether they struggled or not. The bottom line is you cannot use deadly force if he's trying to get away from you, if he's a nonviolent fleeing felon. If he was shooting somebody or was a threat to the officers, then, okay, maybe you use deadly force. It may not be the perfect case factually overall. I agree with Monique there. But the reality is deadly force is used way too much by these police departments to compel performance, to compel compliance. We got to get away from that. That needs to go, be our exhibit one in reforming how we train police and who we pick to give guns and badges to. Using deadly force should be the last resort, not the first resort. That's why you got so many black people being killed by police officers under color of law with a gun, with a badge, and under the American flag on their uniform, shooting and killing black people simply because they're not complying with a police order. Dumb.
But Scott, did you hear, you're saying you agree with me, but I'm asking if you see the video where he turns around and aims the stun gun. And I'm asking the question that I think is necessary for an answer. Was it live? Was it a stun gun that could have incapacitated an officer? And of course, I'm asking this because what our viewers may or may not know is the reason why officers react the way they do when there is a live stun gun is because suspects who are not just trying to get away will use the stun gun to incapacitate the officer and then use the officer's weapon against them or take it and use it against other people. So we've backed up like 5 felonies real quickly in a row in that scenario. So but Monique, stun gun does not have to be met with stun gun. That's not use of force protocol.
No,
so
I get it. And in those steel frames, because the police officer's making decisions every couple of seconds under that scenario, right? So you're absolutely right. If the defendant has a stun gun, all of those scenarios come to mind. He can use deadly force. But at the same in the subsequent frames, if he's got the stun gun and he's not a threat to the police officers and he's running, I don't think it's appropriate or proper or lawful for the police officer to pull out his gun while he's running away. He gets 5 feet.
So let's do this here.
3 feet away to fire. I just don't think that's appropriate. That's not deadly force on deadly force.
So the thing here is, I'm going to put, so you had stepped, we had lost your signal, Scott. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to try to pull it up again. So there was body camera footage that was released, and what it did was it actually showed that particular point when he was running away, and then he had grabbed the stun gun. So let's pick it up right here. So you see right here, Scott. So you see the tussle. Then all of a sudden, then you're gonna see in a moment. So you see one of the officers grab the stun gun. He's trying to shoot him in the leg. Rayshard then grabs the stun gun, and now he's tussling with the officer over the stun gun. Then in a moment, you're gonna see him stand up. He's gonna have the stun gun in his left hand. He's gonna switch it to his right hand in just a moment.
Right.
So you see, get the stun gun left hand. He pushes them off. He's now pushes off. He fires. The officer Rolfe fires the stun gun. He's now running away. So that was
Right.
that was the dash cam footage. So come back to me. What I'm gonna try to find is I want to try to find the other angle. So that was just simply one angle. The other angle you actually saw the angle of the shooting taking place. Give me a second. I'm trying to fast forward it here, because you're going to see the angle where it was fired.
Right. That would be helpful. Monique, was he shot running away with the stun gun facing the officer? If you follow my question, or
right?
No.
No. By the time the shots were fired, I think he had swiveled. But that's the concern. This is one of those very and because even when we look at what we just saw, right? We see, yes, ultimately he starts running away, but it looks like he kicked two officers' asses before he ran away, because they were trying to handcuff him, and then and that did not work.
He's a big boy.
And then they try to stun him, and he snatches the stun. And of course, we can go back to whether the stop was justified or not, because I know listeners get so upset with me when I try to call these straight, which I feel like is my obligation to do. Y'all, what I am saying is not that the initial stop was justified, because likely it wasn't. And I am in favor of these traffic stops, period. When we talk about whether it's defund police, whether it's reallocate police, whatever wording you want to use, I would like for our traffic stops to become much safer, because they are handled by people who cannot make life and death decisions, because they're not carrying the weapons to be able to do that. So that even the most hardened criminal knows that if he gets pulled over because his tag is expired, what he's going to get is a ticket because his tag is expired.
Okay, here we go. So Scott, watch this.
Find criminals anyway.
So Scott, watch this here. Scott, watch this. You're going to see all of a sudden Rayshard and the officer come in from the left side. Here we go. Officer firing the stun gun. Rayshard turns back, points the stun gun, and then that's when the officer pulls his gun out and then shoots Rayshard.
The second officer.
The lead officer. He was, bring it back here. You will see it again right here. You're going to see it right here. Here you go. Rayshard, officer is pointing his stun gun. Rayshard turns, points the stun gun back at the cop. Cop then pulls his gun out. That's when he fires shots at him.
Yeah. Okay. Now, at that angle, he's not. Okay. I withdraw.
That looks terrible.
I withdraw my Tennessee v. Garner piece. Because
he's got the stun gun.
Right, that's not this. He's got the stun gun. He's got a weapon. He's not nonviolent right now. He'd be better off getting rid of that stun gun. But he fired on the officer. It looks like he hit the officer, and the officer fired.
That's what it looked like. I need to see. Is there nothing?
Yeah.
No, we don't have. We do. I don't believe they have released the body. I don't know if the body cam footage of Rolfe was released. Again, this is the video here. I don't believe the body cam footage of Rolfe has been released, because the other body cam footage we saw was
because he falls up against the red car. Watch
Well, actually, the problem there is you see him going, but he actually does it, because they froze this video here. They freeze it versus allowing it to continue. We'll find the other video, and then where you actually saw it, because at that point he pulls his gun.
This video, it looks like he got hit by the stun.
Right, but actually the other video, he pulls his gun out, and then that's when he fires, because in that one you see he's still running. What happens is officer pulls his gun out, fires at Rayshard. Rayshard goes down immediately. Robert Patillo joins us right now. Robert, what do you make of what do you make of the people giving Rolfe his job back, but still the contention of the former DA, Paul Howard, as well as the family of Rayshard Brooks, that the officer still used excessive force? Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's absolutely excessive force. I think that what we are seeing is the power of police unions in this country, and also the ability and leeway that are given to officers in excessive force cases. This is why it's so important to pass that George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, because what we've seen nationwide is that officers who have sometimes dozens of complaints of excessive force, they go 100 miles down the road and find a new job at another police department, or they're able to appeal their cases and then get their jobs back. We saw also the 2 college students here in Atlanta who were tased and pepper sprayed for no apparent reason. Those officers were filed and then ultimately given their jobs back also.
So Robert, you believe that even though the video that we showed, Rayshard Brooks had grabbed a stun gun and was running and pointed it back at the cops, that Rolfe still used excessive force, should be fired?
Well, I think you have to roll the video back to the beginning of the interaction. Remember, this interaction began with a man who was passed out in his car in a Wendy's drive-thru, a Wendy's that I've been to before. And I think we have to look at the way we do policing in this country and the fact that, frankly, if somebody's passed out in their car, instead of sending 2 armed police officers to address the issue, you should send an ambulance to find out why this person is passed out. They could have had a heart attack. They could have had a stroke. We don't know. So why is it that is automatically the response to an African-American is to send send armed officers to the situation? I think secondarily, they spoke to this young man, Rayshard Brooks, for several minutes. They articulated to him what was going on. I think during this period of time would have been the time to de-escalate the situation, take him into custody peacefully, and take him to the hospital to get the medical care that he needed. The escalation doesn't start at the point when the excessive force and escalation doesn't start at the point that they're running away. The use of excessive force starts from the entire interaction from the beginning, and the fact that these officers were unable to take a passed out man into custody without weapons being drawn and a foot chase taking place. This is police training. It goes into police accountability.
This is the video of him in the breathalyzer. Pull the audio up, please.
Intent to, have a good time, and I said, babe, I'm hungry. Let's go. My baby's mom, she was there. I said, babe, go ahead. I'm cool. Here's the money for the blow-up bed tomorrow. Here's the money for, to enjoy herself tomorrow. Just, give me a burger or something.
Right.
Just take me home. I'm ready to go.
So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr. Ross.
All right. I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. So put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back.
All right. So
Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. You're getting tased. You're gonna get tased.
So that's where, again, that was the body camera footage of Rolfe. So I'm not quite sure what happened there, where I don't know if his camera fell off or whatever there. So, so I have all 3 of you on. Okay, so let's talk about again policing. Here's somebody slumped over, breathalyzer. They want to handcuff him. You saw that it wasn't acrimonious. It wasn't until they tried to cuff him, then all of a sudden the scuffle ensues. The question that people are raising goes to, okay, you have this scuffle, you have back and forth, and he's scuffling with 2 officers. Even the point when he takes off, do you use deadly force? There's nothing on the flip side of death. Death is death. So do you use deadly force? And from a policing standpoint, how do you change police policy in this case when you're trying to detain someone, you try to cuff him, he resists, he tussles with both officers, fights with both officers, and then grabs the stun gun of one and then starts taking off running. Rolfe follows him with the stun gun. Then when he points back with the stun gun, then he pulls the gun out. So the question is this here. Are you saying, Robert, Scott, which is different from Monique, are you saying that the officers should allow him just to take off and say, all right, this was suspected drunk driver. He taking off running. I'm not about to sit here and chase after him and potentially fire my gun at him. What should the policy be for officers in that situation?
Well, if you're starting with me, I would say from the beginning of the interaction, when you're speaking to him in the police, in his vehicle, at that point in time, you could have handcuffed him then, and then had the entire conversation with him already handcuffed.
But Robert, hold on 1 second.
They were doing a field sobriety.
Okay, one second. Hold up. I gotta go back. Robert, this is the actual video. You see right here. Go to my. This is the officer going into his car. He's getting the breathalyzer kit. Okay? You see it right here. This is Rolfe's camera. Okay? Now, pull the audio up, please.
All right, just take a deep breath in. Put your mouth over the mouthpiece. Blow as hard as you can until I tell you to stop. Blow, 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 blow. Stop. Very good.
Actually, that wasn't Rolfe. That apparently that was the other officer.
That's it.
How many?
Yeah.
1.5.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was into the second cup.
So Robert, they're having a conversation. Takes the breathalyzer test. They're asking him about drinks, all those things. This is at the 50. Started. This was about a minute and a half before they said, "Sir, you're gonna hear it in a second."
Have a good time, and I said, "Babe, I'm hungry. Let's go." My baby's mom, she was there. I said, "Baby, go ahead. I'm cool. Here's the money for the blow-up bed tomorrow. Here's the money for, to enjoy herself tomorrow. Just, give me a burger or something.
Right.
Just take me home. I'm ready to go."
So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr. Ross.
All right, I think you've had too much to drink to be driving, so put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back.
Okay, so Robert, you just heard that whole exchange. What did they do wrong in your estimation?
Well, one, as I said, I think that in situations like that, when somebody's passed out drunk, you can't expect them to make rational decisions thereafter. So initially, I think that conversation should have happened at Grady Hospital, quite frankly, where where somebody's passed out, you take them to the hospital. And
Robert, how do you get him? One second, Scott. How do you get him to Grady Hospital?
While he is passed out in the car, you handcuffed him and then start having the conversation. You put him on a gurney, put him in the ambulance, and you take him to the hospital. This happens all the time.
Well, no, Robert, hold up. Robert, he was passed out, but then they woke him up. He was lucid. You heard him there. The whole conversation, it was a fairly decent, not contentious conversation. When they said, they talked to him, "Sir, we're going to arrest you. And then please turn around." This is not, "Oh, you're defending the cops, Rayshard was wrong." What I'm trying to understand is, if we're going to have this conversation about what the cops should do that's different, what happened there that should have been done differently up until that point when he resisted?
As I said, I think that even from an officer safety perspective, that frankly having the two officers surrounding him at the time, somebody who was just passed out drunk, that they probably should have had him already restrained at the time that you're having this conversation. You articulate what the issues were. If you find that he passes the breathalyzer test, that there are no remaining issues, then you release him into the pub to go home. If you find that there are issues, then you take him in for medical care. If you find that there's some criminality, you take him into custody. I think a foot chase in the middle of the night is probably the worst of all possible outcomes in this situation, and that comes from police not following the proper steps to secure the scene prior to executing an arrest.
Scott?
Robert, you are bastardizing the police procedure and process. He fell asleep in the car at the drive-thru because he was drunk. They gave him a breathalyzer. They were very professional with him. And if you say that was a lucid conversation, first of all, don't ever admit you had something to drink to the police, ever. Even if you did have something to drink to the police, because you're going to get arrested if you're driving. He said, "I had 1.5 drinks, but I don't know what I had." Well, I got to presume you had a whiskey or you had a vodka or to a beer. Don't admit that. Once he admitted that, he's going. He's going. I don't care, because he's driving, and 1.5 drinks in most jurisdictions will get you to 0.08. So once he admitted that, and he blew. I couldn't tell what he blew. They were going to arrest him. Once they arrested him, secondly, don't be, he's tussling in the streets with the police trying to get away. That's a dangerous situation, but he's driving that narrative. The police aren't driving that narrative. He is. They're reacting.
Got it.
He gets the gun, right? And then he starts to run. Then he points it at them, right?
He points the stun gun,
Felon with a stun gun, he could be dangerous to himself. He could be dangerous to the police officers. If you let him go, he's still got a stun gun illegally stolen from the police, and they draw fire and then they shoot. I can't tell you whether it's a close call on a discretionary judgment piece on do I shoot or do I use my stun gun, but I know one thing. I know I've got a fleeing felon, I know he's got a gun, and I know he's dangerous now because he's got that stun gun and it's stolen from the police department.
Monique.
That's a lot for the police to process.
Monique.
A lot.
Monique.
Yes, I'm here. And I
No, I'm saying, time you talk. Go.
I was starting. Jesus.
Y'all, this. I was here. I'm present and accounted for. Man, come on, go. Bobby, come on. Bobby Rush is waiting. Let's go.
I agree with Scott, and I am concerned. Robert, the whole way that we maintain some authority as experts on good shoot, bad shoot, no shoot, right? On what excessive force is and isn't, what police misconduct is and isn't, is if when it's a close call, when it is what is unfortunate but a justified shoot, or when it's a case like this where from the reasonable officer's perspective, it could have gone either way. I think we have to concede that. Yes, I have said that the start of this interaction could have gone differently, but we have to keep in mind the officers didn't wander there on their own. They were called because there was a man behind the wheel of a vehicle who was sleeping, not in a parked space, but in the drive-through lane. And so what I see from officers is in alerting him and waking him up, he puffs on his own. He's answering questions on his own. I'm not going to say if he hadn't resisted arrest, he'd still be alive. I don't know that.
Got it.
And I don't know that that was the single thing, but it is closer to that in this situation than in others, because it's very obvious that the only time they had a scuffle was when Mr. Brooks refused to, with no warning really, refused to be handcuffed. And that even then, when he had kind of bodied one of them, where he was lifted off the ground and fell and pushed the other one to the side, even then, they went for stun gun, not gun.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of officers who would not, that it would have been a gun the first time. And we've seen those cases. But in this case, they're running behind him, trying to stun him, even though he's already snatched one of the stun guns. And you know that that's dangerous. To let a person loose in the community with a department-issued weapon that can harm themselves or others, that's textbook.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.